Hey guys, I'm back with the 10th bookshelf that we're going to look at, which is one all the way down at the bottom. Right here, you can see it. So hopefully I'll just have one bag of books and not more. And then we'll go over there to the right. But for the now, I'll be back with the books from bookshelf 10. Okay, see you soon. Okay, so I'm back with the books. All right, so there are not very many here, but there's some that I just forgot that I owned. Probably because they're all the way down at the bottom behind the sofa. But anyway, we know they're there now. So first one, Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. This one I will be giving away. I had to read this one with my book club here in Normandy, and I didn't make it past page 150 or something. I think it's 170. This is where I stopped. And I had all of this to read. This book was hard to follow. And yeah, I had very high hopes for this book, and I just was so disappointed as I started to read and realized it was just like very difficult to understand. So I'll be giving this one away. All right, next one, I have another Salman Rushdie. This is The Enchantress Florence. And I think this one should be a little easier to follow, but I could be wrong. It says, a tall, yellow-haired young European traveler, calling himself Mogar del Amour, the Mogul of love, arrives at the court of the real Grand Mogul, the Emperor Akbar, with a tale to tell that begins to obsess the whole imperial capital. The stranger claims to be the child of a lost Mughal princess, Kara Koz, Lady Black Eyes, a great beauty believed to possess powers of enchantment and sorcery, who becomes the lover of Argalia, a Florentine soldier. When Argalia returns home to Florence with his Mughal mistress, the city is mesmerized by her presence, as two worlds are brought together by one woman attempting to command her own destiny. So I don't know. I think I'm going to give this one away because, yeah, I don't think Salman Rushdie is really my cup of tea in the end. I'm going to give that one away. I don't think it's worth attempting. All right, let's go to the next one I have is The Lemon by Mohammed Marabi. And it was translated by Paul Bowles. So Mohammed Marabi was born in Tanger. So this is a literary fiction. It says, this powerful and shocking narrative recounts the adventures of Abdusalam, a precious 12-year-old Moroccan boy who runs away from his home in the Rif Mountains to Tanger. There, he struggles to retain his childlike innocence and native pride while striving to support himself in the corrupt and decadent international port. He takes up with a longshoreman and soon meets a rogues gallery of friends, mostly hustlers and down and outers. With the characteristic brilliance and streetwise charm, Marabi develops the novel's ambiguous theme of the necessity of violence to retain one's innocence. This sounds extremely interesting. Why have I not read this yet? It's not even 200 pages, so I definitely want to keep this one. The next book I have on my list is called Second Person Singular by Syed Kazuo. Okay, I'm not really sure where or why I picked this particular. I wonder if this wasn't in a prize at some point, and that's how I got onto it. I don't know. But it says, from one of the most important contemporary voices to emerge from the Middle East comes a gripping tale of love and betrayal, honesty and artifice. Second Person Singular follows two men, a successful Israeli Arab attorney and a social worker turned artist whose lives intersect under the most curious circumstances. The lawyer has a thriving practice in Jerusalem and a fulfilling family life. On one fateful evening, he visits his local bookstore to pick up a used copy of Tolstoy's The Kreutzer Sonata, a book his wife recommended. He finds a note inside, a love letter in Arabic, in her handwriting, consumed with suspicion and jealousy over the presumed betrayal. The lawyer decides to track down the book's previous owner, a man whose identity is more complex than imagined and more closely aligned with his own. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this one. I think this would be interesting to read. The next one I have is Bound Feet and Western Dress by Pang Mi Natasha Chang. I think this one was recommended. It has, this is, I think this is a nonfiction, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's a memoir. Bound Feet and Western Dress is an exquisitely written dual memoir that tells the story of independent women struggling to emerge from centuries of custom and tradition. A deeply textured portrait which braids a woman's life in China with the very Western story of a young woman's search for identity and belonging. Bound Feet and Western Dress, yeah, by Pang Mei Natasha Chang. And you can see here the feet, the bound feet. Oh, it's very difficult to look at that. So this one I'm definitely keeping. It's a short memoir, but I will be keeping this one for sure. Next we have Behind the Beautiful Forevers, Life, Death, and Hope in a Mumbai Slum. And this is by Catherine Boo. This one has been on my shelf a minute. I have not even attempted it, but I do want to read this one. Let's see, it says, brilliantly written and based on years of uncompromising reporting, Behind the Beautiful Forevers tells the story of Anwardi, a makeshift slum in the shadow of shining luxury hotels near Mumbai's international airport. As India starts to prosper, most Anwardi families have moved past concerns of subsistence to new hopes of joining the country's middle class. So this one is a short one, but I do want to read this one. The next book I have is Something to Tell You by Hanif Qureshi. I think it's Qureshi, Hanif Qureshi. This is a very interesting, beautiful cover. Here he is right here, Hanif Qureshi. And it says he's written a few other novels as well. So this one, it says, the book brilliantly captures that decade's sense of sexual freedom, the exhilaration of the drug culture, as well as the violent struggle between the forces of labor and capital. The events of those years provide a vivid backdrop to the drama that develops 30 years later as the characters face an encroaching middle age with the traumas of their youth still unresolved. Something to Tell You speaks directly to our nation's concerns and anxieties and to our need for love. So yeah, this sounds like it could be really interesting. So yes, I'm going to keep it. All right, now these next three are a trilogy by the famous Naguib Mahfouz. Love Naguib Mahfouz. So I discovered Naguib Mahfouz when I lived in Egypt for 3.5 years. And this was the first book that I read, was this one right here, was Palace Walk. But then when I came back to France, I had to acquire the other two of that trilogy, which is Palace of Desires and Sugar Street. So this is sort of a trilogy about a family living in Cairo. And I think, if I remember correctly, they are of a certain wealth. And I think they live in Zamalek, if I'm not mistaken. But I will be going back over this trilogy. I really want to reread Palace Walk and then just, finish off 2 and 3. Just read the whole trilogy because this is such a great work. I really did enjoy reading Palace Walk. And so I'm quite happy to read that one again and try to finish the trilogy off. So I'm keeping this one. Okay, then we have The Book of Fate. Now this one, I really don't remember picking this up, but I bought it at W.H. Smith. It was on sale for 15 euros. If that even sounds like a sale, but it really was a sale. So it says 50 years of life in Iran the banned novel that became a huge bestseller. Okay, it says a teenager in pre-revolutionary Tehran. Masume is an ordinary girl passionate about learning. On her way to school, she meets a local man and falls in love. But when her family discovers his letters, they accuse her of bringing them into dishonor. She is badly beaten by her brother, and her parents hastily arrange a marriage to a man she's never met. Facing a life without love and the prospect of no education, Masume is distraught, but a female neighbor urges her to comply. We each have a destiny and you can fight yours. The years that follow Masume's wedding prove transformative for Iran. Okay, that's interesting. Hamid, her husband, is a political dissident and a threat to the Shah's oppressive regime. And when the Secret Service arrived to arrest him, it is the start of a terrifying period for Masume. Her fate, so long dictated by family loyalty and tradition, is now tied to the changing fortunes of her country. So it says a huge bestseller, The Book of Fate spans 5 turbulent decades of Iranian history from before the 1979 revolution through the Islamic Republic and up to the present. It is a powerful story of friendship and passion, fear and hope, and a rare insider's view of Iranian society. So this came out in 2003. But I'm keeping this. I want to read this. And I can see why I bought it. I was interested in it. I ran across this one when I was shopping. All right, the next one I have is The Alchemy of Desire by Tarun J. Tejpal. So another one that I bought at W.H. Smith. So I was obviously book shopping and saw this one. So it says a young couple from a small town in India, penniless but gloriously in love, moved to the big city where the man works feverishly on a novel, stopping only to feed his ceaseless desire for his beautiful wife. In time, the lovers abandon the city for an old house in the mist-shrouded Himalayas. While renovating their ramshackle new home, the young man unearths a chest full of diaries written by the previous owner. Thrust into another world and time, he slowly uncovers the dark secrets at the heart of her story. I'm keeping this. That sounds good. All right, next I have Khaled Hosseini's and the Mountains Echoed. Now, I have not read this one, but I have read The Kite Runner, and I can't remember what the name of the other one is. The other one is A Thousand Splendid Suns. I read both of those. Have not read this one yet, and The Mountains Echoed, but I will definitely get to it. I'm sad that this is a mass market paperback because that font size is small, but we're gonna make it work. All right, next we have one that's very well known, which is The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. I don't have to read what this is about. You kind of already know. I can't believe that I still haven't read any Amy Tan yet. Shame on me. So yeah, I'm going to keep that one. Okay, the next one I have on my list is this one called The Colonel by Mahmoud Dalatabadi. And I'm not sure how I got onto this book. I really don't know, but it's an Iranian author. You can tell by the name Dalatabadi. So this one says, on a pitch black rainy night in a small Iranian town, the colonel paces back and forth inside his house waiting for the inevitable, the knock on the door from the secret police. From there, he is taken to the tortured body of his youngest daughter. The Islamic Revolution, like so many revolutions before it, is devouring its own children. The colonel must bury his daughter before sunrise alone, without ceremony. So who is to blame? What follows is a shocking diatribe against the failures of the Iranian left over the last 60 years. So yeah, this one, I might have to try that one because that sounds like it would pair up very well with this one. These two would pair up very well together. All right, this next one is called The Trench, and it's by Abdelrahman Munif. And I think this is a Saudi writer, if I'm not mistaken. So it says, the critically acclaimed second volume of Abdelrahman Munif's monumental Cities of Salt trilogy, the only serious work of fiction that tries to show the effort of oil Americans and the local oligarchy on a Gulf country. The Trench is a powerfully satiric and deeply affecting novel depicting the royal government of an oil sheikhdom, very much like that of Saudi Arabia or Kuwait. Set in the 1950s, the novel brilliantly evokes the royal court of an obscenely rich monarchy and all of its fastuousness, turpitude, and savagery, presiding over artificial boundaries set by imperialists, depending on foreign intriguers and masses of migrant workers for its luxury and practicing severely repressive policies. So this is volume 2 of the Cities of Salt. I'm gonna have to see about this one. So yeah. All right, the next one I have is this one right here called, what is this? The Boat. And this is by, what is the author's name? Nam Le or Nam Lee. I'm not sure which one. Nam Le or Nam Lee. So that's what the book looks like. So this is, it says, okay, it was a winner of the 2008 Dylan Thomas Prize. So it says, The Boat takes the reader on an unforgettable journey far across the globe and deep into the lives of a handful of its citizens. Whether a hitman in Colombia, an aging New York painter, or a young girl stranded in the South China Sea, each of Lee's characters struggles in the face of profound personal and historical pressures to maintain control of their lives. Through their stories, the world both opens out and rushes in. The Boat is a remarkable debut, full of humanity, showing again and again how we are all ultimately connected to each other. The Boat, I'm gonna keep it. All right, the next one is by Jhumpa Lahiri. It's called The Namesake. I think everybody knows this one, but this edition is not gonna work for me. It's way too small. So I'm gonna be giving this one away because, yeah, unfortunately, I'll get another copy once I've read the other ones that I have by Jhumpa Lahiri. But when I get The Namesake, it's gonna be in a copy that I can actually read without going blind. Okay. The next one I have is called How to Fight Islamist Terror from the Missionary Position. Now, I remember I bought this one, I believe, at Shakespeare & Co. Let me just, yes, I did. Look. Still haven't read it yet. And I bought this a while ago because I think this came out in 2000, first published in 2012. And I think this particular copy came out in 2014. So what is this about? It says a young Pakistani academic relives his days sharing a cramped apartment in Aarhus, Denmark, with two unlikely bedfellows. They are Ravi, his incorrigible best friend, and a wry observer of the human condition, and Karim, their fundamentalist Muslim landlord, whose apparent double life soon intrigues his tenants. While Ravi finds his jaded world outlook challenged when he falls for an unlikely Danish girl, and our narrator embarks upon a complicated love affair of his own. Karim's bizarre and secretive behavior leads to creeping suspicions that something might indeed be rotten in the state of Denmark. By turns hilarious and heartbreaking. That's how it's described. So it's quite a short one, but I think I'm going to keep this one because I feel like I may have missed out on, not reading this one right away. It's like not even 200 pages. This one is called Battle Royale by Hushan Takami. This is one that I believe I actually tried to read this, but it wasn't my cup of tea. I think you all know what this is, Battle Royale. I'm not going to read the back, but I know you know what it is. I think I'm going to give this away as a possibility that one of my daughters might want to read this one. Next, we have this big chunker right here. 1Q84, and this is by Murakami. Now, I have not read any Murakami, and this is probably not the best place to start, but I have this copy, and it is hella long, I think. This one is, oh my God, how many pages is it? 952 pages. In this particular copy, the page numbers are written backwards at the bottom and correctly at the, on the side. So you see you have here 900 and, no, where is it? Down here. You have it 925 written backwards, but then you have it here written correctly. So, yeah. Now, what is all this about? Because Murakami with the cats, the umbrellas, and the poorly written women, do I really need to be reading this? So it says the year is 1984. That's a good year. Ayumame sits in a taxi on the expressway in Tokyo. Her work is not the kind which can be discussed in public, but she is in a hurry to carry out an assignment, and with the traffic at a standstill, the driver poses a solution. She agrees, but as a result of her actions, starts to feel increasingly detached from the real world. She has been on a top secret mission, and her next job will lead her to encounter the apparently superhuman founder of a religious cult. Meanwhile, Tingo is leading a nondescript life, but wishes to become a writer. He inadvertently becomes involved in a strange affair surrounding a literary prize to which a mysterious 17-year-old girl has submitted her remarkable first novel. It seems to be based on her own experiences and moves readers in unusual ways. Can her story really be true? Both Aomame and Tingo notice that the world has grown strange. Both realize that they are indispensable to each other. While their stories influence one another at times by accident and at times intentionally, the two come closer and closer to intertwining. I don't know. I think I'm gonna pass on this one. Yeah, no regrets. Okay, the next one is The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. I think you know this one. I have not read this one yet, The Remains of the Day, sadly. I think we had to read this for the book club in Normandy, but I was ill the day that it was going to be discussed. Now, I read this one, which is by Yukio Mishima. It's called Patriotism. It's a very short book, but fairly interesting. Kind of gets into the crux of how weird Mishima really was about, being patriotic and stuff. definitely get into him because he's a good writer, but he was a little cuckoo. I'm going to keep this one. All right, here's another Kazuo Ishiguro. It's When We Were Orphans. But this one, the font size is correct, so I'm going to keep it. I don't care what it's about. This one I think a lot of people know as well. It's England 1930s. Christopher Banks has become the country's most celebrated detective. His case is the talk of London's society. Yet one unsolved crime has always haunted him: the mysterious disappearance of his parents in old Shanghai when he was a small boy. Moving between London and Shanghai of the interwar years, When We Were Orphans is a story of memory, intrigue, and the need to return. So yeah, I'm going to keep this one. All right, I have two left. So this one is Falling Leaves. This is another memoir, a memoir of an unwanted Chinese daughter. Now, I've only heard good things about this particular book, Falling Leaves, and I will be keeping it and reading it. So, yeah, it's not too long. It's what? Not even, it's not 300 pages, 273 pages. So, yeah, I'm going to keep this one. And last, I have this one right here, which is called A Fine Balance. Now, I always wanted a better edition of this book, but this is the edition that someone gifted me, which I'm not mad at it, essentially. It's kind of interesting the way it looks. But I will be reading A Fine Balance. So it says, with a compassionate realism and narrative sweep that recall the work of Charles Dickens, this magnificent novel captures all the cruelty and corruption, dignity and heroism of India. The time is 1975. The place is an unnamed city by the sea. The government has just declared a state of emergency in which upheavals four strangers: a spirited widow, a young student uprooted from the idyllic hill station, and two tailors who have fled the caste violence of their native village, will be thrust together, forced to share one cramped apartment and an uncertain future. Yeah, this sounds really good. It always sounds good to me when I read what this book is about, and I just haven't had, the chance to get to it. But now that I know it's there, I'm going to squelch this one sometime soon, because it's been a minute that this book has been on my TBR. So this book is clocking in at 603 pages, so another big chunker. All right, so that's it. Those are all of the books that were on bookshelf 10. There's some really good ones here. You can see there's kind of a theme. It's everywhere from, Asia to the Middle East, pretty much in the stack. So I must have kind of grouped them like that together. But I'm kind of happy that I'm keeping the majority of these books. So that's a good thing. So I want you to comment below now that we're sort of getting towards the end. Now you can pretty much say we have gotten through all of the novels on my shelves. The next two shelves contain textbooks, coffee table books, graphic novels. So this is the last of the novels. So stay tuned for that. But for the moment, please comment below and tell me what you think of these, because I guarantee you the majority of these you haven't really heard of before. I have a feeling, like a gross majority. I would say about 90% you probably haven't heard of before. So if you have heard of any of these and you're thinking, girl, you need to step that up for 2025. Don't play. Read that book. This is a moment. Come on, y'all. Tap and tell me which one it is. And if there are any that you're like, girl, get rid of that book quick. And I want to know what y'all think about me giving away. What do you think about me giving away 1Q84? But I'm not feeling it. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Bye.